the Chase Thomas Podcast, for people who have nothing but time to kill.
The iPhone.
But he's still great at what he does. Kim Caldwell, going into year 2, now that you've looked at how this roster is ultimately going to look here on the ladies' side of things, Ryan, I mean, how much better do you think it can be than year 2? And are you certain that they're going to be a better all-around upside group than what Tennessee had this past year based on losing folks like Jewel Spear and company?
I don't know if I'm certain that they'll be better, but I think they'll be better. You have to really like what they did in the transfer portal. They brought in some forwards that they needed to fill out the roster, and they brought in a guard who can score at a high clip in Nia Robertson. So I think you have to like what they did. Part of it depends how ready that group of freshmen are. If Paldo can come in and be an instant starting caliber type of point guard like she's kind of ranked to be, then yeah, that's great. If Denia Prawl and Jada Civil can come in and be really nice rotation pieces and finish some games for you and play at a high level as a true freshman, then I think that's how you take that step towards having a nice ceiling, because you return a lot of your kind of stars. You lose Samara Spencer and Jewel Spear, and those were two really good players for you. But Talaysia Cooper returns. Ruby Whitehorn returns with the year under her belt in the system and at Tennessee. Z Spearman returns, same situation as Ruby with the year under her belt, both at Tennessee and in the system. I think that you have to expect them to get more comfortable along with Talaysia and take a step forward, which is saying something because they had such nice first seasons with Kim last year. But I think I'm not going to say it's 100% this team's better. You'll have to see it. But I think that this team could probably play themselves into where I'm at right now with them is probably about a 3 seed. I think Charlie Cream on ESPN had as a 2 seed in his way too early bracketology. I feel like this team feels like a really nice 3 seed, and that gives you a shot to get to the Elite 8 as a 3 seed. Like, you have to really like that. And then you're hosting those first 2 rounds as well, as long as you're in that top 4. So it should be a team that takes a step towards being more of a national contender this year. Where I'm at, though, is the year after that, sure, you lose Ruby Whitehorn, Z Spearman next year. You'll lose Talaysia Cooper after 2 years. But that's when these monster recruiting classes start getting to those junior, senior years. That's when I think Tennessee could be like a truly scary team for a lot of people to deal with.
So you're not like, because it's interesting. Like, I think there's just this anticipation that I find fascinating that next year it's like with all these freshmen 5-stars coming in and like just the buzz that Kim Caldwell's generated and just kind of her. I mean, I just think there's a lot of energy, around her program, around her, and they overachieved. That I think there's this natural expectation that it's like, all right, we're going to build off this Final Four. We're going to have a top 10 roster, and Talaysia Cooper's back, and Ruby Whitehorn's back, C. Spearman's back, and now we're going to have some freshmen, and we killed it in the portal here. Like, this is a complete team. We're 10 deep again, and this team will be even better. And you're like, well, maybe. I mean, this team did pretty well this past year, and you're losing some talented players here. And it's not a guarantee. Like, they should be good again. But we also just it's a lot of turnover in a weird way where you're like, I don't know, like you're bringing in a lot of new faces. Like you said, we'll see what Nia looks like. You're bringing in with Barker, who just came off of Final Four. So that's great experience. But you just look at it and you're like, man, that's still a lot of new pieces to surround yourself with. People who have only been in the program for a year too, right? Like, you still have Talaysia Cooper's only been in the system for a year, and along with Ruby and Z. So I don't know. There's still a lot of unknowns, but I don't know if you felt the same, but it just feels like the fan base is looking at it, and a lot of people are like, yeah, this is we're ready to roll. Like, year 1 was just like we did we made do, but year 2, now that we've got a nice blend of returning talented vets. And then we've also got this big time freshman class that, like, okay, yeah, this is how it's going to go. And you're like, well, maybe. Like, there is a chance that they don't get as far as this past team, and they don't mesh as well as this past team did, right?
I mean, there was times last year where the Lady Vols felt like they were more loved by the fan base than the men's team. The men's team was like in line for a 1 seed at that point still. Yeah. But there was just so much excitement and buzz that you mentioned about the Lady Vols program and what Kim was building so early, because
I mean, they beat the national champions.
Yeah. And the expectation was going into the season, like, hey, just make the tournament. Just if you make the dance, keep the streak alive, we'll go from there and we'll see what happens. And she went out and she had them as like a 3 or 4 seed, pretty consensus for the entire season until last week, where, the wheels fell off momentarily. She got them back on the NCAA tournament and left I think a good taste in most fans' mouths that makes you optimistic going into this year. So I think that's part of the reason it carries over is you were able to get that upset win over Ohio State and get to a Sweet 16 and then play well in that Sweet 16 game too. And then, when you have the number 2 recruiting class on the ESPNW and then you parlay it with the number 1 class according to ESPN on the rankings they did today, that's a reason for excitement. So I think the excitement is valid. I think there's a lot of things to be happy about, to be excited about with what Kim Caldwell and the Lady Vols are doing. Is it a Final Four year? Maybe. I wouldn't put my money on it just yet. Is she building a Final Four type program? I think the first step is to get the talent in there and to start winning. And she's proven that she can win big games already, beating that UConn team that you just talked about. And then now she's getting the good players in as well. So the formula's there. She's following the recipe. And I think it just takes a couple more good seasons. And then all of a sudden you're knocking on the door of being that true juggernaut national title type of contender that the Lady Vols have always been capable of being, obviously, with how Pat Summitt ran the ship back in the day.
Ryan, Sylvia, what can the good folks check out from you and the team over at volreport.com?
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas podcast. Hell yeah.